So the eagle-eyed amongst you will have realised that we have a bit of a challenge, and that is that the studs are only about an inch long, sorry, 2.5 centimetres long. We have to go through, I don't know what that is, let me just measure that. What is that? That is 10 centimetres at least to get down to the floor. So how are we going to fix it? Well, the answer is quite simply, we're going to use these, which are bolt extenders. I went to the hardware store and I got a bag of all different size bolts, and washers and nuts and things like that, so we can work out what the ideal size is. But yeah, these are quite nice because they give you about 30 mils of movement, so we can have this put in at the bottom or all the way down, and it just gives us a certain amount of thread then to bolt the bolts in from underneath. But first thing to do is to take the base plate, transfer that onto a piece of paper, and then I can go underneath and we can start to measure out where the holes for the exhaust pipes need to go and get those cut. So yeah, that's the next job. All right, back in a bit. So I've drilled my holes from underneath, and I have removed all of the old glue from where the plate will sit, and then I've mounted the plate. Now, because I'm using the extenders, I've got to bolt the plate first of all to the heater. Bear in mind at the back I haven't used washers, and that is because the washers that I've got are going to cause what's called a thermal short between the exhaust pipe, which is on the right, and the plate. So as you can see, there's an air gap all the way around it at the moment. What you don't want to do is have the metal plate touching the exhaust, because basically that will then transfer heat into the metal plate. So let's make sure all the way around you've got an air gap, which we have there, and then tighten that plate down. Now I'm going to add the extenders and then work out how deep they need to go so that I've got the right amount of depth between the floor and the underneath of the vehicle, so I can bolt those down. So I'm going to measure that up now and then get this in place. So I just wanted to show you what I meant there with the bolts and the extenders. So if I measure from the plate to here, and underneath that bolt I've now got 10.5 centimeters, and I know the distance from my floor to the underneath of the vehicle is also 10.5 millimeters, and that is bottomed out. So if I now add some washers underneath and a plate, then that's going to give me sufficient tension then to hold the whole thing in place, which should do very nicely. So let's I forgot to add, I do need to add another hole for the fuel pipe, so I will do that now before I install everything in place. So come back soon and I'll show you it actually going in. So I've managed to install it, and I've put it this way around because what I'm going to do is the air inlet, which is this space over here, I'm going to put a vent in here, so it's going to draw in the ambient air from the van. That'll come then through the heater, and then I'm going to put a vent going out through here, which has then got a three-way valve or a three-way diverter, which will come into this area here, and then I'm going to have that set so that it will feed the vent into the van, but also do an overflow into the outside through the hole I've got to the bottom there. So what that allows me to do is, if the heater becomes too much, even on the lowest setting, because these heaters use a glow plug to start up with, they draw a large current, and they don't like being switched on and switched off a lot. They'd rather be running constantly. But even though this is a 2 kilowatt heater, my experience so far with a 500 watt fan heater has said that the van warms up very quickly. We're only small, we're only 5.5 meters long. So therefore, the chances are that even running on low, this is going to potentially provide too much heat. So the diverter valve then allows me, where is the diverter valve? I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here it is. So this is a diverter valve. So air can come in through one of these, and then it allows me through the vents, which is a flap, and I can open and close these to put as much of that hot air into the van as I want and dump the rest of it outside. So it allows me to fine tune just how much heat I'm getting from the heater. So we could leave it running on low, very, very efficient, but it means I'm not going to overheat the van. So we can experiment with that a little bit and see how we get on. But that's the idea anyway. So what we'll do now is start connecting all the rest of this up and testing it. Oh, I've also added some insulation on the inside here. These are very quiet heaters, but just to make sure we don't get any noise at all, I've just added a little bit of sound insulation, and it's got a nice aluminium covering on it as well. They don't get hot, so that's not really the problem, but I just wanted to cut down on the potential noise vibration. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Right, so another step forward. So there's the vent now in the side of the cabinet. So that's giving me fresh air into the inlet area of the heater. And then the outlet is now going through the panel there. I've put a bit of insulation around it. I just need to keep an eye on that just to make sure that the temperatures don't get too high. And then on the other side, I've just started to build this. That's my three-way diverter valve. This is always open because this is the heat input. Normally it would come out through here and that would be closed. And then if this gets too much, all I need to do is open up that one and it will divert some of the air going through to the outside, and it'll warm up my leaf spring at the back. Do no harm out there. So that's how it's going to work. And then this vent will obviously have a vent on the outside of it coming through the panel, which is going to be fixed in place. So clean all this lot up, get the wiring sorted out, and the control panel, which is going to go into the side of here, along with a 230 volt outlet, the controller for the inverter, and the controller for the heater. I'm going to put those down that side there, so we have plenty of space available. So yeah, get this all tidied up, put some blanking plates in, feed it all through, and tidy it all up. I'll be back soon. Right, so that's the controllers installed. So this is the heater, that is the inverter, and it's coming on. And then the 12 volt socket down here with USB-A and USB-C charging points. That's not wired up yet, of course, haven't done that bit yet. But we're just about to go and test the diesel heater. And then I need to put a panel behind it as well to obviously encase all of the wiring. So, and a bit of conduit in there as well. So we'll get on to that. But let's get the diesel heater fired up and see what happens. Yep, so I've been busy with the jigsaw on the outside, and this is going to be the power inlet for the electric hookup on campgrounds. So I just cut that piece out of there, making sure it wasn't touching anything at the back, and there's no joist, so you can just see the construction of the vehicle actually. So aluminium over plywood, foam sandwich, and plywood on the inside, and a bit of decoration. So this is useful because I can now take this piece off, and I've got various places where this has been damaged, and because it's such a rough pattern, I can actually cut pieces out of this and stick them back in place, and it disguises it very, very well. So that's quite a nice piece there to hold on to. And this is the box. So this is going to just drop in here, he hopes. Yes, there we go. So Sikaflex it all the way around, and then as that opens up, you've got your electrical connection inside. So I can now connect that all up. Just waiting for some more multicolor wire to arrive, coming from Amazon this time because it's a bit quicker. And yeah, it should go quite nicely. So I'm not going to fix this with Sikaflex just at the moment, because this van side, well, all the sides are going to get repainted. So rather than having to work our way around the edges, I'm just going to keep this away from the wall when we paint it, and then I can Sikaflex it afterwards to stop all the leaks. So yeah, another job done. Now to get onto the wiring, and I have decided on the Chinese diesel heater that because it takes a maximum 10 amps to draw it, I don't think the wire that I've got from the fuse panel to the heater itself is quite man enough for the job. It would probably work. It's only for a couple of minutes that it draws 10 amps. But I've ordered some more wire anyway, so that we can change that over and make sure that that's man enough for the job. So I'll just connect one end to it, then pull it all the way through, and then reuse that for something else. On the side of the shower there, you can see I've put a PVC strip. It's just clamped there for the glue to dry, and that just finishes off the edge of the four-way carpet to stop that from getting frayed. So that just finishes itself off there. So yeah, a few more jobs to finish off. I'm going to start putting some of the rest of the sockets in, and then I'll get in here and start vacuuming and cleaning everything up a bit more. But yeah, we're getting there. See you soon. Sorry, jumping around a little bit today. Whilst I've got power to the house, I'm just checking that this is all working okay. So this is a 10 amp lithium battery charger. So this is going to be mounted on the side over here, just with some double-sided tape. I'm also putting a surface mount 230 volt socket in here, and one of the issues we have in France is that all the sockets are not switched. So basically when you plug something in, it becomes live. But what I have purchased from Amazon again is a switched plug. So essentially that will mean that I can leave this plugged in without it being live, and I can then activate the switch when we're connected to electric hookup. So we're not trying to charge the battery from the inverter, which would be a stupid idea. So yes, so I'm just going to go and test this now. This is it's 10 amp. It's designed for lithium iron phosphate battery. Bit of a detail of it there, and that'll be fine for electric hookup. I don't need to whack too many amps into the battery when we're plugged in overnight, running for 10 hours. That's 10 amps. That's going to just top the thing up nicely, bearing in mind that we've also got the DC charging, and we've got the 400 watts of solar, which works better in the summer than it does in the winter. We're not pulling very much out of it at the moment. Obviously the angle of the sun is too low, and if we angled the panels themselves, we would obviously improve that, but they're flexible when they're glued to the roof, so that's not happening. But anyway, let's crack on, get this installed and tested. And so I've connected it to the bus bars, so positive and negative bus bars, so that all of the charging current will go through the shunt, and therefore we're measuring the input for that. But yeah, let's test it and make sure it's all working. See you soon. So this is the underneath of the diesel heater installed, and I'm just about to Sikaflex up around the fuel pipe to give it some protection. There's the air inlet coming in, and everything runs away. Nothing's going to catch on anything. There's the fuel pump. It's got that suspended rubber contraption that should stop any noise coming through. It's just floating in midair there. I have attached the fuel filter at the moment just to the brake pipe, but that is a big no-no, so I'm just waiting to get underneath and put a riv nut in on the floor there, just to hold that in place properly, and hopefully that will be out of the way and secure. And then the hole at the back where the rest of it comes through can just be seen under there. So again, seal that all up now, doesn't need to be used. It's just got the air outlet coming out, so that's from the diverter valve, so that will just dump hot air out if it gets too warm. So that's it there, and the exhaust pipe is just coming around here, and there it goes out at the bottom. So whilst I'm here, taking the opportunity just to get rid of a little bit of surface rust, a little bit more to do up there, and just along the bottom of this rail. For 42 years old, it's pretty darn good underneath here. I have to say, that's the advantage of living in a country that doesn't have salt on the roads in the winter. So anyway, yeah, just a quick look underneath there, but yeah, very, very good condition underneath. Right, let's get a crack on this and finish up. So I was talking yesterday about the mains charger for the lithium battery, which is that one there, and that the sockets in France do not have switches, so that as soon as you plug it in, everything is live, and that is the socket that's going to go in, and you can see the problem. So that's the connection. I've put the hole down there already, ready for the cable to come through. That's going to sit down here, and this is going to plug in. But of course, as soon as you plug it in, it's completely live. And if this is on inverter, which makes that socket live, then of course I'm going to be putting a charger that's driven from the inverter from the battery to charge the battery. You can see how that's kind of not going to work. So this is what we use. So rather than having to unplug it and plug it back in every time, this is just a socket, a plug, and just has a switch. And of course everybody from every other country in the world will be thinking, well, why do you need to use that? Well, there's the answer. Because these are always live, and this is the way to switch it on, and I can switch it off as needed. So I'll put that in. That can stay in there permanently, and we can just switch it on whenever we go to electric hookup to charge the battery. Anyway, just wanted to give you a quick explanation as to why and how, so that you understand. All right, catch you later. Okay, so that's another job just finished off. So I've just put the hinges in for these panels at the back. So they now lift up, supported on all the edges. So even though it's only 5mm ply, there's plenty of support there for it. A little bit of trimming to do on this corner here, just to take a bit of this edge off. But yeah, they're all done. So another job to tick off the list. Another little job. So this is the entranceway. And there was a weird switch on here, something to do with the old gas system, but no longer in use. It's all been cut off. And I want to put a socket here, so it gives me some outside access to his power. But also there's going to be an extension to the kitchen sitting here, and this will give me another socket as well as the one at the front, just in case we want some power going into that, and a couple of charging sockets as well. So I pulled off the outside panel here. We can just see in the back there. But what I found is that there is no backing board behind this. This is just purely this hardboard. So I've cut myself a piece of 5mm ply. I'm going to put that behind it and glue this in place. And then we've got something more solid then to connect the socket to. So crack on and get that done, and then just wait for that to dry and then finish it off with a socket.